Hi everyone, it's Adrienne. I've seen a couple of people do their fall rotation for their tarot and oracle decks. I think I'm going to do a September rotation and see where it goes from there. Next month, if I use a lot of the same decks, I may not do an October rotation, or I may just say the few that I'm using and still do a video for it. But it's a little farther away, so I have some time to think about that. So I have a couple of decks that I wanted to show that I'm really excited to use for September, because some of these decks I haven't used since last year, so I'm really excited. The first one is in this bag, and it's one of my earlier decks when I started really collecting, because if you've seen my other channel, I've mentioned that I stuck with 3 decks for a while, a couple of years, and then I started really getting into getting different decks. So this is the Druidcraft Tarot. I'll do a mixture of Tarot and Oracle, so I think that would be more fun to do for this video. I trimmed this. The words aren't on here anymore, and I think what really made me want to use it again was that I finally got to use a corner rounder for the corners, because I rounded these myself, or I did the corners myself because I didn't think that I needed a corner rounder, but it makes such a big difference and it looks so much more put together because it was very rough, especially with the cardstock. This is very thick cardstock, which is another reason why I didn't really use it. But now it looks, I like it a lot better, like more put together. I can't really think of the word that I'm trying to think of right now, but I love the rich tones to this. Another reason why I didn't really gravitate towards this deck, I used to use it all the time, but it's mainly the people in here. Some of them don't quite look as, I don't know, it just seems like there's something a little off from it, and I'm not saying that they look bad or anything, but I don't know, with some of the structures on the faces and with the, what is it called, proportions, it does throw me off a little bit, but it may just be me being picky or pointing things out. I love this deck. It reads so direct, which is why I love using it for readings, to talk about more of, or a general reading about yourself, which I may do a couple of spread examples in a video. So how your career is going, your past, present, and future, how people view you, how you view yourself, what isn't really portrayed, those types of readings, but like combined into one. So I'm really excited. It's a little strange how some of these pictures derive from the other deck that I got, which is the Sacred Circle Tarot, or Sacred Circles, and that is an older deck. So I do see different decks getting some inspiration from that one, but I don't mind. Sorry. The next deck is the I Am Power deck. This is 108 card affirmation deck and 108 card affirmation deck. I got this recently in a trade. I'm so happy that I got it. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not, because it was just a whim type of trade, because I tend to do that a lot. Well, this is the card that I got for today. I am human. And on the bottom was I am student. Such a beautiful, simple deck, but it says so much and it makes you really think, and it does make you feel happier and in a better mood and feeling more positive about yourself in different aspects. I like that I was able to get the smaller deck too, because I heard that there was a bigger one, but this deck is really thick because there's over 100 cards. And last one. These are the backings. And they feel light and airy, which can be good and maybe not so good, because sometimes I don't gravitate. I either love the airiness of a deck or it really doesn't fit with me. So I'm happy that I liked it. The next one was given to me by Mary Bo, and it's the Chigani Kartia Gypsy cards, the product of Hungary, and I've never heard of these cards. They seem like they're an older deck. I actually trimmed what she already trimmed down because I believe she took the borders off, and then I went from there and I took the words. So it comes with this. I believe this is a Sibila. I haven't worked extensively with this because I wasn't sure how I felt about the borders. I don't know, something, well, she cut off the borders, but everything else with the card, it seemed like I liked the imagery, but, well, yeah, it is. I wasn't too sure about how I felt about the rest of the cards. So this is how small they are now. And I really like it because you don't need a lot, and it already says what it's supposed to say in the picture. I kind of gotta hurry up because I do have a couple of decks to show. So these are the backs. I love how they look like Esmeralda. I don't know if that's what they were going for, or unless that's like a look that is more what is in that area. So, the gypsy cards, and they're fun to carry around too. So the fairy decks are coming in hot for this month, and I'm ecstatic because I love working with fairies. Well, I work with them all the time, but it's not an everyday thing when I work with a lot of the decks. It's usually that I work with one that I really gravitate towards. This time I'm working with 3, but these may be the main decks that I'm working with, but I do have other decks that I still go to also. But I'm trying to get a better use out of all the decks because I have a number of them, and it seems like sometimes they go by the wayside, and when I get a new deck, and then I tend to not use it. So I'm trying not to do that because I really do love the decks that I have. So this is the Tarot of the She, and this is the backing. It's upside down though. It's strange how I gravitate towards this deck in the colder seasons, because I would think that I would have the more vibrant colored decks in the warmer seasons, but that's okay. This is the booklet that it comes with. These are the backs. And I've been working with this one a lot, actually gravitating towards it and wanting to work with it. So the greener fairy decks come out during this time, and also my native decks. Well, I said this in the beginning, if I am more repetitive with the decks that I use, I may just say the name of the deck, but I might just like not go through the cards and just show the deck. But or I may not even do a rotation video at all. So I love this deck. This was a retrade Mary, and there's a story behind that. But the next deck I have is the Fever Tarot, and it's by Karen Marie Moning. This is the Fever series, and she's a #1 New York Times bestseller. So this is based off of the book. I'm so excited to be starting off this series because I don't really gravitate towards a lot of books because I don't know, I'm like specific and I get distracted and bored easily with stuff, but it's nothing against the authors. I'm just picky. So it's a nice box. This is a very large deck. This is the size of a small novel, but I love the size anyway. As long as I could shuffle, and I shuffle like this. So back to what I was saying about the deck or the books I was reading. I don't know if they were part of the books, but she had some paragraphs or sentences on each book, and I love the way that she writes. It seems really interesting, and I'm not surprised why she's a #1 New York Times bestseller. Because I usually read the same books over and over again. I still have to do a walkthrough of this deck, or like to show the pictures close up, because some of them can be hard to see on camera. But I love it because it reads beautifully. I love quote unquote darker decks and fairy decks too, and this takes place in Dublin. And it's my dream to go to Dublin. So 1, 2, 3. Thinner cardstock, but easier for you to shuffle because it's bigger, and easier to grasp too because it's bigger. So the next two won't really come to a surprise. I actually just did a video on one of the decks, but the first one I'm showing is the Osho Zen Tarot. I read this as a tarot deck. Some people read it as an oracle. These are the backs. I blacked out the edges. But I love the way that this reads. This is probably the deck that I use the most, like nearly every day, because the meanings just make sense to me. So I may do a video on it. There's a book, but I didn't bring the book out because it comes in a box. The next one to go with that one is the Tantric Dakini Oracle. This is my newest one. I'm so excited because this is one of my soul decks. Another soul deck that I have is the New Orleans Voodoo, which I saw Mary do show in her fall rotation. I tend to go for that deck. So that tarot deck seems to come out whenever it wants to. There isn't really a set time, but if I feel like I'm using it more frequently, then I'll probably show it in monthly favorites or show it in a rotation. So this is such a cool deck. It's probably my most clever and wittiest deck that I have. But I'm going to do a New Orleans Voodoo deck video, mainly because I want to get started on trimming one of the decks that I have because it's different cardstock, and I tend to use the other one that I have because it's different cardstock. So I feel like if I trim it, then maybe I'll get more use out of the one that I don't use. We'll see. And these are the backs. I just love the old school look to it. The next few decks won't really be a surprise. One of them was a recent purchase. So I'll show these in bulk. So these are my Sacred Path cards. These are one of my everyday decks too that I go back to constantly. So Freya Blue Moon has a thicker cardstock one, and I'm interested in that one, but I've used this one for so long that I don't know if I would replace it. And plus it's easy to put in my bag because it's so thin. I love the backings, I love the colors, I love everything about this deck. It's Mary Bow introduced it to me, and it took me a while to look at the video because I didn't want to purchase anything, but I knew that as soon as I saw it that I wanted the deck. So the next one is, since I'm already at 15, going on 16, The Feathered Omens by Ted Andrews. I love Ted Andrews' work. He's insanely good at writing and knowing about animals. I wouldn't be surprised if he was an animal in another life, or a couple of animals, because he seems like he's been around the block with that. There is a book that comes with it, and luckily it's right next to me. So is the Sacred Path cards. The Sacred Path cards book is nasty now, because I knew with this color it looks beautiful, but I just put it wherever and it gets dirty. This is the Feathered Omens book, and I do go back to his regular book too. So this is another everyday deck, which is the vintage medicine cards. Vintage medicine cards, and they're a dream. They're almost the same frequency as mine, like very similar, if not like almost to a T, because it's just the muted colors and the energy of the deck, because I know the newer edition has more aggressive animals. At least that's what I noticed when I had it. This is the book, and now, sorry, I have shorts on. I always have shorts on because I don't like wearing pants, because they tend to be, I think because of my proportions, that they're uncomfortable. But the next two, because I have two more and that's it. This one is the Witchbone Tarot by Aubrey C. The medicine cards and Sacred Path cards are by Jamie Sams, and I think that's it. Oh, the Tantric Dakini is by Nick Douglas and Penny Slingler. So I believe the Osho Zen is by Osho Zen himself, or unless inspired by him. So you guys have seen this one a lot. It's been on my favorites and in my last rotation. I love this deck. It's one of my soul decks too. I do have a few. I don't have a lot. I may do a video on the ones that I know are so far. And the last one is my last fairy deck that I'm showing, which is the Tarot of the Secret Forest. This is how I feel like fairies would be. It's a low scarabeo with a little white book and extra cards. It's black and white on one side, and then it reads regularly with other colors on the other side. I don't want to say regularly. It tends to show up better in dimmer lighting, I've noticed, because of the undertones of the colors. The deck just makes sense to me, and I'm probably going to do a video on it, but I'm so behind on videos and responding to people. So if I don't, I'm sorry if I haven't been responding. I've just been in my own world. Because YouTube seems to be a way to get away from the world in a way, and then you go back to your everyday routine and try to figure out solutions to things. So that was my rotation. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry that I rushed towards the end, but I wanted to get the cards all in the video. So see you guys in another video that I'm probably going to post tonight.